It's easy. Welcome to the Wisdom Ones channel, where we dive deep into transformative topics that can change the way you see the world and your faith. Today, we're talking about a very important and often overlooked aspect of your spiritual journey, the secret step to divine breakthrough. This is a topic that has the potential to reshape your life and help you experience the miracles that God has been waiting to bestow upon you. So as you listen, remember to open your heart and mind to what God might be saying to you in this very moment. In the midst of uncertainty and the challenges that come with trusting God's plan, we can find comfort in the words of Proverbs 3:5-6, which remind us to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding. This passage encourages us to surrender our own limited perspectives and place our trust in God, acknowledging that His ways are higher than ours. When we are faced with moments of doubt or confusion, these verses serve as a reminder that God is the ultimate source of wisdom and direction. Jesus Himself modeled perfect surrender to God's will, especially in the Garden of Gethsemane. In Matthew 26:39, He prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but even in His greatest moment of trial." Jesus demonstrated the ultimate trust in God's plan, fully surrendering to the Father's will despite the hardship it would bring. His example teaches us that trust is not always easy, but it is always the path to peace and fulfillment. By following Christ's example, we too can surrender our desires and trust that God's plan is always for our good and His glory. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing content. And please, take a moment to comment 77 below. Let us know you're with us on this journey of discovery and faith. The journey of faith. Many believers earnestly seek divine breakthroughs, desiring miraculous transformations and answers to their prayers. Yet, amidst the fervor of spiritual pursuits, there is a crucial step that often goes unnoticed, a step that holds the key to unlocking the very blessings we yearn for. This step is not merely a ritual or formula. It is a vital component of our relationship with God, grounded deeply in humility and surrender. Through Scripture, we see many examples of individuals who experienced miraculous interventions in their lives, but each breakthrough was often preceded by a humble acknowledgement of their limitations and a profound trust in God's sovereignty. This is from Moses at the burning bush to the woman at the well. Each story teaches us that the path to divine intervention begins with a willingness to listen and align ourselves with God's will. The secret step is not just about asking for help or seeking blessings. It is about the transformation of the heart. It is the shift from self-reliance to God-reliance, a realization that our strength is insufficient without the grace and guidance of our Creator. Many who are called chosen ones may find themselves caught in a cycle of striving and desperation, missing the peace that comes from simply resting in God's presence. As we explore this topic further, we will uncover the reasons why this step is so often neglected and how embracing it can lead to a profound spiritual shift. By acknowledging our need for God and embracing His plan for our lives, we open ourselves up to breakthroughs that surpass anything we could have imagined. This journey is one where faith meets humility, where the chains of limitation fall away, and where the abundance that God has in store for us is finally revealed. Years in our pursuit of breakthroughs, it's easy to get distracted by the demands of life and the pressures of the world. Society pushes us to measure success by tangible accomplishments, by recognition, and by fitting into a particular mold. But as Romans 12:2 reminds us, we are called not to conform to the ways of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. When we focus on the approval of man, we miss the approval of God. The divine breakthrough you are seeking is not found in worldly validation, but in spiritual alignment with God's will. The measure of success in the kingdom of God is not based on accolades or earthly achievements, but on the depth of your relationship with God and your willingness to follow His path. Too often, we get caught up in the distraction of self-reliance. We love to believe that our strength and wisdom are enough, that we can handle things on our own. However, divine breakthroughs are not tied to our own abilities, but to our surrender to God's. Proverbs 3:5 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not on our own understanding. It's not about how hard we work or how many steps we take. It's about how much we trust in God to act on our behalf. Many chosen ones get so focused on doing that they forget the power of simply being still and knowing that He is God. Breakthroughs do not come from human effort alone, but from God's divine grace working in and through us. Another reason we miss this secret step is the misconception about silence. We often view silence as weakness or a lack of faith, but in reality, silence holds incredible wisdom. It is in silence that we learn to wait for divine timing, to hold sacred what God has revealed to us until He tells us it's time to speak. Reason teaches us that there is a time to be silent and a time to speak, yet we often rush ahead, eager to share what God is doing in our lives before His timing is right. Mary, the mother of Jesus, offers us a beautiful example of this principle. Since she learned of the incredible calling on her life, she didn't rush to tell the world. Instead, Luke 2:19 says that she treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. Mary understood the importance of divine timing. There are some revelations that need to be nurtured in silence before they can be shared with the world. Learning to be silent in the right moments is an essential part of the spiritual journey. In addition to silence, another critical reason why so many overlook this step is a failure to act on faith. Faith is not merely about belief, it is about action. James 2:17 tells us that faith without works is dead. How can you expect a breakthrough if you do not step out in faith? God calls us to move, even when we cannot see the full picture. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, he didn't have a guarantee of success, but his faith was activated the moment he chose to take that first step. Breakthroughs often come when we act in faith, even when the outcome is uncertain. God meets us at the intersection of our faith and our action. Too many people wait for the perfect conditions before taking action, but God is asking us to trust Him and move in the direction He's calling us. Don't wait for all the details to align. When God says go, it's time to move. Resisting change is another reason why many miss the breakthrough they are praying for. We say we want transformation, but when God begins to shake things up, we often cling to what's familiar. True breakthrough requires transformation, and transformation requires us to let go of old ways and old mindsets. Ephesians 4:24 calls us to put off your old self and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. God is trying to refine and prepare us for the next level, but we cannot hold on to the old if we want to step into the new. The breakthrough you seek requires you to let go of what no longer serves you and embrace the new season that God has for you. One of the most common obstacles to receiving a divine breakthrough is impatience. In a world that demands instant results, it's easy to grow frustrated with God's timing. Isaiah 31 promises that those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. It may not come on your timetable, but God's timing is perfect. When you're feeling impatient, remember that the breakthrough is still coming. Trust in God's plan, even when the waiting feels long. Your breakthrough will come in due season, and it will be greater than you imagined. Another crucial step that many overlook is surrendering control. We like to manage everything, to be in control of our lives and outcomes. But divine breakthroughs come not through control, but through surrender. Just submit yourselves then to God. It's in our surrender that God takes over and works miracles in our lives. When we hold on too tightly, we block the very breakthroughs we are praying for. Surrendering control allows God to move in ways that we cannot imagine, opening the door for His divine intervention. The power of praise and gratitude is another aspect often neglected in the pursuit of breakthroughs. Too often, we focus on our needs and desires without taking time to thank God for what He has already done. 6 teaches us to bring our requests to God with thanksgiving. Your praise has the power to shift the atmosphere, to open the door to heaven, and bring the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Praise God not only for what He will do, but for what He has already done. Gratitude aligns your heart with God's will and opens the floodgates of divine blessings. And many chosen ones miss their breakthrough because they misinterpret discomfort. Trials and discomfort are often seen as signs of misalignment with God's will, but in reality, discomfort can be the refining process that God uses to prepare us for greater blessings. 1 Peter 1:7 says that trials are used to purify and strengthen our faith, just as fire refines gold. Don't run from the discomfort. Embrace it, knowing that it is part of the process. Your breakthrough is on the other side of your discomfort. Lastly, many miss their divine breakthrough because they overcomplicate what God has made simple. Often, the key to breakthrough lies not in grand, dramatic revelations, but in simple obedience. God is not asking you to do something extraordinary. He is asking you to take the next small step in faith. When you are faithful in the little things, He will entrust you with greater things. As you embark on this journey toward your divine breakthrough, remember to stay focused on God's will and trust in His timing. Trust that His plan is greater than your own and that your breakthrough is closer than you think. As we walk this journey, we must remember that our identity as chosen ones is not just about the blessings we expect to receive, but about the transformation that occurs within us. We are called not only to experience the breakthrough, but to become the breakthrough. Every challenge, every trial, every season of waiting serves a purpose in shaping us into the individuals we need to be in order to carry the weight of the blessing. It's easy to lose sight of this when the road feels long and the promises seem distant. But remember, God is doing a deep work within you. When you are chosen, you are not just set apart for your own benefit. You are set apart for God's glory to make an impact in the world around you. The chosen ones are those who are positioned to shine light in dark places, to bring hope to the hopeless, and to reflect God's love and mercy to others. It's a humbling reality, one that calls for us to continuously surrender our own will and desires to align with God's perfect plan. The road may be difficult, but it's also a road that leads to deeper intimacy with God, a life lived with purpose, and the eventual fulfillment of every promise He has spoken over you. God understands the weight of the journey, and He sees every tear, every prayer, and every moment of doubt. He has not forgotten you. Even when it feels like your breakthrough is delayed, remember that God's timing is perfect. He is preparing you, equipping you, and positioning you for something greater than you could ever imagine. Your breakthrough is not just for you. It's for the kingdom. It's a reflection of God's faithfulness, and it will bring glory to His name in ways that you may not fully comprehend right now. Trust in the process, trust in His plan, and trust that in due time, all things. Faith is the foundation of everything that we experience as chosen ones. It's not just about believing in God, but about trusting Him completely, trusting Him when the answers are not clear, trusting Him when the road seems uncertain, trusting Him when the promises feel delayed. Faith is the unwavering belief that God is who He says He is, and that He will do what He says He will do. It's standing firm in the midst of adversity, knowing that God is working behind the scenes, even when you cannot see it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It's the confidence to step forward even when the path ahead is unclear. Many times, our faith will be tested, and it's in those moments that we must dig deep into the well of trust we've built with God. Just as Abraham waited 25 years for the promise of Isaac, and just as Joseph endured years of hardship before his breakthrough, your faith may be tested by time, but through it all, God is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for the promise that is to come. The greater the breakthrough, the deeper the testing, but also remember, the deeper the testing, the greater the testimony. God is not just looking to bless you. He's looking to use your life to show others the power of His love, faithfulness, and provision. The breakthroughs you seek may require you to step out in bold faith. Just as Peter stepped out of the boat and walked on water, you too may be called to take bold steps that feel terrifying at first. But no, will never call you to something He hasn't already equipped you for. If He is asking you to step out into the unknown, trust that He will guide you every step of the way. The miraculous happens when we trust God enough to take risks, when we step out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. We open the door for God to move in ways that we never thought possible. Your breakthrough may not look like what you expect. It may come in unexpected ways, and it may require you to surrender your own plans and desires to God's perfect will. But the good news is that when God moves, He moves in power. His breakthroughs are never ordinary. They are extraordinary, supernatural, and life-changing. When God brings a breakthrough, it changes everything. It shifts the atmosphere. It transforms lives. It brings hope to the hopeless and light to the dark. And the best part is, you are part of His plan to bring that breakthrough to the world. As you continue on this journey, Remember that God is transforming you. He is renewing your mind, changing your thoughts, and aligning your desires with His. It's a lifelong process of becoming who God created you to be. But in the midst of it all, He is with you, guiding you, loving you, and preparing you for the breakthrough He has promised. You are His chosen one, set apart for a divine purpose. Never forget who you are and what you are called to do. Don't allow the distractions of the world to pull you away from your purpose. The enemy will try to discourage you, to make you doubt, to make you feel inadequate. But remember, you are more than a conqueror through Christ. You are not defined by your failures or your shortcomings. You are defined by the love and grace of God. The world may try to tell you that you are not enough, but God says otherwise. He says you are chosen, loved, and equipped for everything He has called you to do. So, in the waiting, in the testing, in the uncertain moments, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Keep walking in faith. Your breakthrough is coming, and it will be worth every moment of struggle. Trust in God's plan, and trust in His timing. He is faithful, and His promises will never fail. And as we close this moment, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your own life. Think about the promises God has made to you, the things He has called you to. And remember that your breakthrough is not a matter of if but when. It's on the way, and it will come at the perfect time. Trust God, keep moving forward, and watch as He does the impossible in your life. Now, before we end, if this message has touched your heart, I ask you to comment 77 below and subscribe to the Wisdom Ones channel. Stay encouraged, stay focused, and keep walking in faith. Your breakthrough is coming, and it will be more than you could ever imagine. Keep believing, and know that God is with you every step of the way. As we continue this journey together, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on the path you're walking. Life can often feel overwhelming, like the weight of the world is pressing down on you. But take a deep breath and remember that you are not walking alone, even in the hardest of times. You are surrounded by the love and grace of the Creator, who promises never to leave you nor forsake you. This road, though difficult, is part of a much bigger plan. The struggles, the challenges, they are not meaningless. Every step, even the ones that feel like setbacks, are being used for a greater purpose. Trust that the Lord is with you, every step of the way, guiding you, strengthening you. His word says that He will never let you go, that He holds you in His hand, and that He is working all things together for your good. Even when you cannot see it, He is moving behind the scenes, orchestrating the perfect plan for your life. Souls, when you feel weary, when your heart is heavy, lean on His strength. He does not want you to carry the burdens alone. The power of His love is made perfect in your weakness. So, when you're feeling at your lowest, that's when His strength shines through the brightest. This is not a sign of your failure, but a sign of His amazing grace. He has promised that those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. You will mount up with wings like eagles. You will run and not grow weary. You will walk and not faint. This is the promise of His faithfulness to you. And even when it seems like everything is falling apart, He is still working. Trust that His timing is always perfect. The dreams, the desires that are planted in your heart, they are not by accident. If you delight in Him, He will give you the desires of your heart. But remember, those desires align with His will for your life. When you surrender your plans to Him, you open the door for His plans to unfold in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. You might not always understand the reasons behind the delays, the closed doors, or the seasons of waiting. But God's wisdom surpasses our understanding. In those moments when you feel uncertain, trust that He knows what is best for you. He will make your path straight. Even when the way seems unclear, He is leading you towards something better than you could ever imagine. There will be times when the doors you wanted to open don't. You might be tempted to feel discouraged, to question why it's not working out. But let me remind you, when God closes a door, it's not because He's punishing you. It's because He is protecting you from something you don't see. He has something better in store for you. You have to trust Him with your future, with your next steps, with your every breath. His peace will guard your heart and mind, even in the moments when you feel lost or confused. But here's where it gets even more beautiful. As you walk this path of surrender, you begin to shine in ways you never thought possible. The love you have received from Him flows through you to others. You are a beacon, of His grace, His mercy, His love. The world will see the way you love, the way you serve, and they will be drawn to the light that is inside of you. You are His reflection here on earth. The blessings you've received are not meant for you to keep, but to share. As He has been generous with you, so too must you be generous with others. May your words, your actions, and your very life testify to the greatness of God's love. This is why we are called to have hearts full of compassion, hearts that are quick to offer a helping hand to those in need. This is how we become a living testimony of His goodness. There is so much power in this. When you choose to love, when you choose to serve, when you choose to offer grace, you are reflecting the heart of God. And in doing so, you experience the deepest joy that comes from being in His presence. You see, everything we face in this life, whether good or bad, is an opportunity to grow in our faith. Every challenge is a chance for our faith to be refined, for our trust in Him to deepen. And when we face those moments of doubt, when we feel like we can't go any further, we remember this. We are not defined by our struggles, but by how we rise above them through the power of Christ in us. You are more than a conqueror. You are a child of the Most High God. His victory is your victory. As you move forward, know that God is with you. He will give you the courage, the strength, and the wisdom you need to face whatever comes your way. Every obstacle, every trial, is an opportunity to experience His power and His grace in a new way. The storms might rage, but you will not be shaken, for your foundation is built on the rock of Christ. And in those moments when you feel unsure, when you wonder if you are on the right path, remember that you are being led by a God who knows you intimately. He knows your struggles, your fears, your desires, and He has already gone before you preparing them. His plans for you are good, and He will never leave you in the dark. Trust Him completely. Walk in His ways, and He will direct your steps. You were not made to walk this journey in isolation. Reach out to others, share your burdens, and allow the community around you to support you. In doing so, you fulfill the call to love one another as Christ has loved us. This is where true power lies. In unity, in love, in shared faith. You are never alone. God has placed people in your life to walk with you, to encourage you, and to remind you of His promises. Let them speak life into your soul just as you are meant to do for them. Today, I want to encourage you to lean into His presence. Let His love fill you completely. And as you do, remember that you are a part of something much bigger than yourself. Your journey is not just for you. It's for the people around you, for the world that desperately needs to see His love in action. I want to ask you now to take a moment to reflect on the truth of God's promises. He has called you to greatness, to a purpose beyond what you can see right now. Trust Him with everything you have. Trust Him with your dreams, your future, and your heart. As we close today, I want to invite you to continue this journey with us. If this message has touched your heart, please comment 77 below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Wisdom Ones channel. Let's continue to grow together in faith, love, and strength. God is doing incredible things in your life, and this is just the beginning. Remember, you are chosen, you are loved, and you are never alone. As we reflect upon the journey we've walked together in this moment, let's pause and allow ourselves to truly soak in the words that have been shared. Every scripture, every thought, every prayer is not just a story or a verse from a book, but a living testament to the reality of the spiritual life we are called to walk in. We often find ourselves seeking purpose, striving for success, yearning for clarity, and hoping for guidance. It's easy to become overwhelmed by the pressures of life, the challenges that seem to multiply with each passing day, and the burdens that weigh heavy on our hearts. In the midst of all of this, there's one truth that remains constant. God is with us, guiding us, sustaining us, and strengthening us. In moments of uncertainty, when the road ahead feels unclear or the mountains we must climb seem too steep, it's easy to forget that we are never alone. We have been given a divine promise that, no matter what, God's presence will never leave us. His promise that He will never forsake us, that His love will always be there to uphold us. This truth should bring us comfort and peace in every season of life, especially in those moments when we feel lost or uncertain. As we move forward, we are not walking blindly or aimlessly. We are walking in the light of His guidance, and we can trust that He will direct our paths, as He has promised in Proverbs 3:6. But trusting in God's guidance is not always easy, especially when life feels chaotic or when things don't go according to our plans. It's in those moments, when the road becomes difficult and the weight of the world feels like too much to bear, that we must remember the words of 2 Corinthians 12. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Our weakness is not something to be ashamed of. Rather, it is in our weakness that God's strength shines the brightest. It's in those times when we feel like we can't go on, that God's power is made evident in our lives, and through this, we learn to lean on Him, trusting that His grace is enough to carry us through every challenge, every obstacle, and every trial. As we reflect on the journey we're on, it's also important to remember that waiting on God's timing is not a passive act. It's not simply about sitting idly by, hoping that things will fall into place. No, waiting on God means trusting in His plan, even when we can't see the full picture. It means surrendering our own understanding and acknowledging that God's ways are higher than our ways. But 31 speaks to this beautifully. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Waiting on God is an active, trusting, and hopeful process. It is in waiting that our strength is renewed, and it is in waiting that we are shaped and refined. Throughout our lives, we will face many decisions, many crossroads, and many opportunities. Some will be clear, and others will be difficult to discern. But even in those moments when the way ahead is unclear, we can trust that God will give us the wisdom and discernment we need. We must seek His guidance in all things, knowing that He will lead us if only we humble ourselves and listen. As we step forward into new opportunities, it's crucial that we acknowledge God's sovereignty over our lives and seek His direction in every decision. Proverbs 3:6 reminds us to acknowledge God in all our ways, and He will make our paths. Surrendering to God's will is a profound act of faith, but it is not always a simple one. It requires us to release our own desires and plans and place our trust in God's perfect wisdom and timing. This can be incredibly difficult, especially when things don't seem to be going the way we expected or hoped. There will inevitably be times in our journey when doubt creeps in, times when we question whether we are truly on the right path or whether God is even listening to our prayers. These moments of uncertainty can stir up fear, making us wonder if we'll ever reach the destination God has set for us. It is precisely during these times that we are called to deepen our trust in God, holding on to the truth that He is always working on our behalf, even when we cannot see the evidence. Trusting in God's goodness means accepting that He sees the bigger picture. While we are limited by our human perspective, God is sovereign and eternal, and His view of our lives is one that encompasses not only the present but also the future. We may not always understand why things happen the way they do, but we can have confidence that God is at work in every circumstance, orchestrating every detail of our lives. Even in the moments when it feels like nothing is happening, He is still moving in ways that we may not yet comprehend. This truth is the foundation of our hope. It is the assurance that no matter what we face, God is with us and His plan for our lives is good. In the midst of uncertainty, it is crucial to remember that God's timing is always perfect. We may desire immediate answers or a clear path ahead, but God often works in ways that require patience. We may have to wait, trust, and keep moving forward even when the road seems unclear. During these times, it is easy to become discouraged and feel as though progress is slow or non-existent. Yet, even in moments of waiting, God is preparing us for what lies ahead, strengthening our faith and teaching us to rely more fully on Him. He knows exactly when and how to bring about the things we need, and we can rest in the assurance that He is not working on our timetable but on His, which is always for our ultimate good. As we navigate these challenging moments, we must hold on to the truth that God's plan is greater than anything we could imagine. Even when we don't understand what He is doing, we can trust that His plans will always lead us to a place of peace, fulfillment. Our job is not to understand every step of the journey, but to surrender our will to His, trusting that He will guide us with wisdom and love. In the end, the process of surrender is not just about letting go of control. It is about drawing closer to God, learning to trust Him more fully, and finding peace in the knowledge that He is always at work on our behalf. This kind of trust and surrender can give us hope, even when the future seems uncertain. It is a hope that is rooted not in our own strength or understanding, but in the character of God Himself. When we look back on our lives, we will see the countless ways in which God has faithfully worked behind the scenes, even when we couldn't see it at the time. Such faithfulness will serve as a reminder that no matter what we face in the future, we can trust Him to guide us and lead us to the place He has prepared for us. This hope is unshakable because it is built on the unchanging nature of God and His promises to us. So, in those moments of doubt and uncertainty, we can remind ourselves that God is always working, and He will bring us to the place He has planned for us at exactly the right time. As we continue on our journey of faith, it is essential to acknowledge the deep significance of compassion and generosity. These are not just virtues that we should aspire to possess. They are core aspects of what it means to live out the love of Christ in our daily lives. God has called us to be more than just hearers of His word. He has called us to be doers, reflecting His love not only through the things we say, but also through the way we live. Our faith is not meant to be confined to our thoughts and prayers alone. It should be evident in our actions, in how we treat others, and in the way we serve those in need. In every interaction, we have the opportunity to be a reflection of God's love. We are called to be a blessing to those around us, to bring hope and light into their lives. Whether it's offering a word of encouragement to someone who is struggling, lending a helping hand to a neighbor in need, or simply being present with those who are hurting, our actions can have a powerful impact. We don't need to have all the answers or know exactly what to say. Sometimes, the most significant way we can show God's love is simply by being there, showing empathy, and offering a listening ear. In doing so, we create a space for healing, for peace, and for the transformative power of God's grace to work in people's lives. Serving in this way means embracing a posture of selflessness. We are not called to live for ourselves, but to live for others. In a world that often encourages individualism and self-centeredness, God calls us to look beyond our own struggles and desires and to focus on the needs of others. It's easy to become consumed with our own challenges, whether personal, professional, or relational. Life can feel overwhelming, and it can be tempting to turn inward and become focused solely on our own circumstances. However, God calls us to rise above this self-focus and to see the needs of those around us. We are to be a light to others, offering hope and encouragement, showing the love of Christ in tangible ways, to love living out our faith, to love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. In this way, we become living testimonies of God's goodness, grace, and mercy. Our lives should bear witness to the transformative power of God's love, and in doing so, we make an eternal impact on the world around us. Every act of kindness, every gesture of compassion, is an opportunity to point others to Christ, to show them that His love is real and present in our lives. When we choose to live selflessly, we become vessels of His love and instruments of His peace in a broken world. The way we live, the way we love, becomes a reflection of who He is, a God of compassion, grace, and mercy, who came to serve, not to be served. Therefore, as we move forward in our faith journey, let us not forget the call to live generously and compassionately. We are called to look beyond our own struggles and to focus on the needs of those around us. In doing so, we reflect the love of Christ, becoming a beacon of hope in a world desperately in need of it. Every time we choose to serve, to encourage, and to love, we are building God's kingdom here on earth, one act of kindness at a time. May we always strive to live in such a way that our lives testify to His goodness and that others may come to know His love through us. We live in a world that is desperately in need of hope, a world that often feels weighed down by the burdens of life. Around us, there are countless people who are struggling, dealing with pain, heartache, and confusion. Whether it's a friend, a neighbor, or a stranger, there are individuals in every corner of the world who feel lost, broken, and alone. They are searching for something, anything, to hold on to. A glimpse of peace, a sense of purpose, a spark of light in the darkness. These people need to hear the message of God's love and the incredible power of His redemption. They need to know that there is hope, that there is a way out of the pain and brokenness they are experiencing. However, as much as we may feel the weight of their struggles, we often find ourselves unsure of how to help, how to comfort, or even what to say. We may feel inadequate, as though we don't have the right words or answers to ease their pain. In these moments, it's important to remember that while we may not always have the perfect response, we can trust that God is with us. He can use our lives as instruments of His peace. It is not in our own strength, wisdom, or ability that we can bring healing, but through the power of His Spirit working within us. God will guide us in the right direction, opening our hearts to His will and our words to His truth. He will give us the wisdom and the compassion to reach out to those who need it most, to speak life into their situation, and to be a source of hope and encouragement. God also opens doors for us to minister to those around us, whether it's in the form of a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or a simple act of service. These small moments can make a profound impact on someone's life, showing them that they are seen, they are valued, and they are not alone. It is through our generosity, our compassion, and our willingness to serve others that we are able to reflect the love of Christ. We may not always see the immediate results of our actions, but we can trust that God is using us to plant seeds of hope, to make a difference in the lives of those who are struggling, and to lead them towards the peace and healing that can only come from Him. By embodying Christ's love in our actions, we become vessels of His grace and light in a world that so desperately needs it. As we close this time together, I want to encourage you to trust in God's plan for your life. No matter what you are facing right now, know that God is with you and He will never leave you. You may not have all the answers, and the road ahead may not always be easy, but you can trust that God is guiding you every step of the way. And even in the moments when you feel weak, when you feel uncertain, or when you feel like giving up, remember that His grace is sufficient for you. He is your strength, your refuge, and your ever-present help in times of trouble. As we walk forward in faith, let us do so with hearts full of gratitude, knowing that we serve a God who is faithful, who is good, and who is working all things together for our good. Let us wait on His timing, trusting that He will bring to fruition every good thing He has promised us. And as we walk in His love, let us be a light to those around us, sharing the hope of Christ and the love of God with everyone we meet. Thank you for joining me today. If this message has spoken to you, please take a moment to comment 77 below and let me know how this message has impacted your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the Wisdom Ones channel to continue walking in faith with us. Together, we can continue to share the message of God's love, grace, and truth with the world. May God bless you richly as you continue your journey of faith, trusting in His perfect plan for your life.